Okay, here we go. Continuing with chapter 23. The Albani, the Albans, priores. They look like they're the first, with an Engentai exercitu, with a huge army in agrum Romanum. That's our position with the N in the accusative. So the Albani, they fecere, they made an impetum, an attack, priors, they first, with a huge army on the Romanum agrum in the Roman land. Castra. So we've now got a camp. Ab Urbe from the city is usually Rome. Horde plus, not more, quinque millia parsum locant. So they located their castra, their camp, horde plus, not more than 5 miles, millia parsum is a mile, from the city of Rome. And they circumdance. So circum means around, and a fossa is a ditch. So they put a big ditch around it, around their castra. The Fossa Cluvilia, or the Cluvilian Trench, ab nomine ducis, from the name of their general, their leader, per aliquot secula. This is through, aliquot just means some or several for ages, basically secula are ages, and it was appellata est, it was called. So it was appellata est, it was called the Fossa Cluvilia, from the name of its general, donec, until when the re, the matter, the nomen, quoque, okay, so abolovit, so it was abolished. So this nomen was abolished when the matter itself, the ditch itself, it would be the re, and also vetuste, old age. So time and the name were eventually abolished when they vanished from the earth, basically. So we've got a daily dictionary. Saculum, neuter. Race, breed, rarely called that. Generation, lifetime, that happens a lot. Age, time, times and era, yep, it's like that a lot. Sometimes a century or worldliness of the world. And what have we got here? The amount of time between occurrence and the death of the final person who was alive or witness to that occurrence. Yeah, so basically, saculum is an age or an era in general. This is in the top 1,000 words or so. In his castris, in this camp, Cluvilis Albans Rex, a position. So Cluvius was the king, the Alban king, and he morited, he died. A dictatorem in the accusative, so the Albani, these are the Albans, they create, they created a dictator, much like Julius Caesar became later on, and that's in the accusative, and his name's in the accusative in that position. So his name was Metium Forfitium, or you put the US on the end for English. Interim. So meanwhile, Tullus, if you remember him from yesterday, the king, he was ferox, so he was brave or wild. Praecipui, the adverb, especially morte regis, by the death of the king. We saw there. Qui, and a magnum deorum numen, and the great numen of the gods, the great heavenly force, basically. Awesome. So it began by the head itself of the king, and then in omne nomen, in the name of omne, all the Albans, he would be expecturum poenus. So, expecting or seeking a punishment for all the name of the Albans, beginning with the king itself, who had just died, ob bellum impium, because of the impious bellum, the wicked war, or the groundless war. They were the people doing the wrong thing, and so here's Tullus Ferox. He is doing some dictatans. He's doing the speaking. And so nocte, at night, by night, praeteritus hostium castris, passing by the castris hostium, passing by the camp of the enemy, with an infestu exercitu, with his hostile army, he purgated. So he continued into agrum album. Okay, echoes in agrum romanum up there. Ea res, this matter or circumstances, excitated metium. Metium was this guy who was the dictator, from his stativus, which is his like a permanent camp which they have set up. And he ducated, so he led quam proxime as closely as possible, ad hostem potes means as able to the enemy. So the way which was the shortest way, basically, the proximate way means the closest way to the enemy. So this is what's going on. Metium's left his camp. He's going out. Inde. So then, a legatum praemissum nuntiare tello Urbe. So then he ordered a legate, an embassy, to be praemissum, to be sent, and pre means ahead, to nuntia, to announce dative to Tullus, that priusquam, prior to them dimicanting, which is having a fight, opus est, essay, there's a need for a colloquio, taking the ablative. Colloquio is a conversation or a meeting where they talk. Si secum, that if with him congressus sit, sit is the future less clear, or this could happen, could or may happen, it's a subjunctive, that if he would have a congress with him, if he'd have a meeting with him, sciri satis, he would know satisfactorily on some matter that would be alluring to say, that would quae which nihil minus, which nonetheless ad rem romanum quam ad album pertinent. So which would be nonetheless pertinent, an allurement to the Roman state, rem romanum, than it was to the Albium people in their state, their kingdom. Hord aspernatus Tullus. So Tullus, not spurning them completely, tamen, but nevertheless, if vana ad ferenta, if the things which are being related to, if they were vana, in vain, he educated. So he led out his men in Actium in their battle lines. But see, he hasn't spurned them, so he's got both options in mind, it looks like. Exeunt contra et Albani. So the Albans, et also, they exeunted, they came out contra, facing them, literally. Postquam. So after instructi utrumque, so on both sides, utrumque, they are instructi, they are drawn up, and they were starbanting, they were standing, with porcus procrum, with a few of the leading men or influential men, the duces proceeded into the middle. So there'd be middle ground between where they were contra each other. Ibi, so there, infit Albanus infitted, he said, injurious, as injustices, and the res non reditors. There was no restitutions made in the matters, and ex fodere quae repetitassun, the things which were sought or resought, quae means which, and ex fodere means from the treaty or from an agreement, and ego I, regem nostrum Clavilium, from our king Clavillus, causem huisque esse belli audisi video. I seem to have heard, infinitive comes from video, that the causam of this war, the cause huisque of this war, not that I doubt you, nec tu debito, vocative Tullus, eodem, the same thing, preferate. So, Albanian starts the story, says the injuries have come about because these matters haven't been solved, and we've sought these things from a treaty, and I have heard our own king say this was the cause of this war, and I don't doubt you saying it was exactly the same thing, which was brought forward on your part. Said C, but if vera truth potius quam rather than speciosa dictu, then like pretty things basically, then or these verbal sort of excuses, dicenda must be spoken. Cupido, desire, imperi of empire, duos cognatos, to blood-related people, and vecinos populace, and neighbouring people, stimulat ad arma. So that's Cupid's desire, which is stimulating these two people groups who are neighbours and blood related to arms. Add armour. A scroll. Nequi, so neither recte or purpureum, right or wrong, and just usually means whether it's this or that. And I an interpreter, so who am I to say if it's right or wrong? Furit ista, he who it was. Eos his deliberation, it's his decision. Who suscepted the bellum. This was the decision of he who took up the war, whether it was right or wrong. Me means me in English as well. The Albani, the Albans, gerendo bello ducem. Here's a shortened version of Quirund. So the Albans created me as the ducem in that position. Created me as the general for gerendo the bello, which is a gerundy for the carrying out of this war, the undertaking of this war. Illad ti tale, so again vocative, talus, velim, I want, and instead of an infinitive, is monotum. I want this advice, illud, monotum. I want this advice for you, talus. The Etrusca res, the Etruscan state, conta, and how much circunos, how big it is around us, tiqu maxime sit, and you especially, quo to who or by who, you are propria, yes, you are closer to these Volskis, these are a people group. You know this more. Hoc magus skis. They are many, Eli's them, they multi in terra on the ground, where we get terrain, etc. from the word terra. And those strong, plurum and more, marai, so marai and terra go together as land and sea. They're pretty much good on the land and they're very powerful in the sea. Memor esto. Esto is the future imperative, so be mindful of, memorable of, that now, or if it's a future very soon, when signum pugne dabis, when you give the signal of battle, pugne, has duas accies, these two battle lines, for a spectacular, will be basically a spectacle, will be watched, so that ut, fessos and confectus, when we're tied, and confectus means completed, so wore out, similar, same time, the victorum and the victim, the victor and the defeated, they will adgrediantur, they will attack us. Itaqui, and so accordingly, si nos diment, if the gods love us, it's a phrase they use commonly to invoke the gods, quanium sent, non contenti, plural, we're not content, certa libertate, ablative, with a certain liberty, and indubium, into doubt, is the imperii and servitui, who will be giving the orders and who will be the servitude ones afterwards. We must roll a dice, aliam. And inimus, we should go in to aliquam VM, some type of road or path by which, qua otri utris, one of us to the others will be giving the orders, will rule the empire, sine magna clade, without a great disaster, and sine multo sanguine, without much blood, utrius qui to both sides, populi of the people, and we should be able to discern this or to decide without destroying both our nations, pretty much. Hord displicit res tolo. So the matter was not displeasing to the deity of Tullus, quamquam, although when he's in dol enemy, with the nature of his mind, Tum was then rather ferocious in hope of victory. So he thought, he's pretty confident he wanted to go to war, but the matter wasn't displeasing when he thought about it. And nearly done. Querentibus utrunqui. So on both sides were querentibusing. They were inquiring. So they're making the decisions. A ratio was entered. They entered into some sort of reasoning. Cui, to which, et also Fortuna itself. So Fortuna herself prohibited, offered the material for the outcome. And we'll pick it up tomorrow.